So how do I write a conclusion? And what is a conclusion? Watch this video to find out. First, what is a conclusion? A conclusion is the last paragraph or the end of your writing. In your conclusion, you restate your main point so that you clearly show your reader what you're trying to argue. A conclusion also wraps up everything that you've said. It leaves the audience with any remaining thoughts as well. So how do I write a conclusion? What do I need to do? First thing, you need to restate your thesis, your main point. It's important for your audience to know again what point you're trying to make, and that's one of the last things that you want to leave them with so that they remember again what you're trying to argue. You must always do this strategy in a conclusion. Here's an example. In conclusion, Disney World is the most entertaining place to go on vacation. So here, I'm clearly stating what I'm trying to argue, and I want to put that in my conclusion so my reader remembers what point I'm trying to make. The next couple strategies I'm going to show you, you can choose to add a couple of them in your conclusion, but you don't always have to add all of them. But you always need to include this first strategy, restate your thesis. So what other strategies can I use when I continue writing my conclusion after I've restated my thesis? You can choose 2 or 3 of these, but you don't always have to do all 3. Here's the first one. You can tell the reader what to do next. Here's an example. If I'm writing about the best vacation to go on, I could use this. You should immediately search for the next flight to Orlando, Florida, and start planning your trip. So here, I'm telling the reader what they should do now that I've hopefully convinced them that this is the best vacation. The next strategy is to make the reader think. Here's an example. Don't you think you deserve a fun-filled vacation? So with this, you could use a question or you could mention something that's going to make the reader think a little bit more about your subject. And again, it's going to persuade them to agree with what you've already said. The third strategy is to make the reader smile. So you could think of something that kind of ends on a positive note or a humorous point that you could make with the reader. Imagine walking through the gates of the happiest place on earth. So here I'm ending on a positive note and hopefully making my reader smile. Remember, the conclusion is the last thing you get to tell the reader, so it's important to end on a good note. End positively and make sure that you've been clear about what your point is and that you've stated again what you're trying to argue.